What does it really take to change? Today I'm going to talk about the steps and the psychology behind when we're making changes in our life that we haven't really done before. So there's a lot of uncertainty. We've hit a point in our life where we just need to change something. Something needs to change in our life and we're not sure what that is, or maybe we are sure, and you'll be able to see yourself on this in this process, somewhere in this process. Now, there's a lot on the board. That's just to sort of remind me of what I want to cover today. So when we're changing, what we go through is a process of curiosity. So we become curious first. We start to think, is this it? Like, this is a question we can ask ourselves. Is this it? This question of like, do I want something more in my life? We can also say, can I change things? Is this something I can change? So we can find ourselves in pain or suffering, or maybe we have symptoms of something like anxiety, depression, we have unhealthy habits, and we're just thinking, look, I think I can change something here. And we're starting to become curious about what's out there. Now, we are hitting crossroads every time we go into different states of this process. So what I want to cover is, first we start with curiosity, then we consume material, so we educate ourselves on the change we want to make, and then we embody it. So at each decision we come to a crossroads. So with this curiosity stage, we come to a crossroads of whether we deny our curiosity. So it might pop up and we go, you know what, nah, I'm fine the way I am, it doesn't matter. So we go into denial, dismiss whatever comes up, and this is actually a coping mechanism, a protective coping mechanism that we have that stops us from growing and evolving, because when we were younger, curiosity may not have been safe. So the crossroads here is to follow the thread of curiosity, to follow that pull towards, maybe there's something else here for me to look at, to see, to explore, and to notice when the mind and the protector comes in to try to deny your curiosity, to try to shut it down and push it away. So that will be the first crossroads that you come to. So at that point you may suppress, double down on not following your curiosity, and things get worse. So let's say you follow your curiosity. You then go into consuming. You might start watching podcasts, YouTube clips, Instagram reels. People are on TikTok as well. I'm not on there. But read books, study courses, do short courses, go to therapy. So maybe you start to make these changes by reading and consuming in that sense, and going to therapy and just starting to talk about things. So that's more becoming cognitively aware of your individual process, something that you're curious about through other people's stories, through science, through information, through education. You're learning about the thing that you're curious about. Now, in this consuming stage, we are also looking at, we're at a crossroads. So we are also presented, that's the word I wanted to use, presented with the crossroads there. So the crossroads is, we start to read these things and maybe they make us feel uncomfortable. We start to listen to podcasts. We start to read books. Maybe we start therapy. Maybe we do a course, and we start to feel really uncomfortable about this. And so the mind, the protector, might come in and say, I tried and it's not really possible for me. It's not really my thing. And it pushes it away. It might be, I already know, so I don't need to change. Denial. So then we have denial come in again. And this is the protector trying to stop us from growing. So in this consuming stage here, we're getting the information, we're becoming aware, we're cognitively becoming aware. The protector can come in because there might be truths that are coming in that are confronting. And when these truths are confronting, we may feel shame and want to suppress and push away the thing that's making us feel that way. And so that's the crossroads we can also come across, where we push it away and just make up excuses as to why we don't want to continue on to become aware or to learn about the changes that we want to make. So that at that point you might just give up, and then you are stuck in this maybe consuming and curiosity stage for a while, or maybe you just don't do any personal development, and you just give up and you just say, I don't need it. Again, things will also worsen in your life as you're not doing anything about the curiosity that's popped up. There's denial often leads to worse outcomes for us. So that's what happens in that stage. Let's say you start to implement the things that you're learning, these small little steps. Maybe you go, you know what, I'm going to start eating something differently, like I'm going to have a healthier diet. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to sign up for a gym. I'm going to start Pilates. I will go to therapy. And you start to implement, you take action here. And it feels uncomfortable, but you're starting to gather the evidence around the benefits of doing this. So you're starting to think, maybe this change is possible for me. It's still more cognitive because you're learning and you're starting to make changes and implement, but it hasn't quite become a habit or part of your identity. So that's when we go down into the embodiment piece. So we've got to practice these new habits, these new ways of thinking. When we learn about something in a book or a course or in therapy, we then start to practice what we learn. Now, therapy, you can still practice some things in therapy, especially the type of therapy I do is somatic, relational. So there's a lot of things that we can do that you can practice and take into your everyday life in relationship, in career, in whatever it is that you're doing. And there are things that you can't do that in therapy. So there'll be things and situation, environments and people that you won't be bringing into therapy with you. So you'll be doing that on your own. So you start to embody what you're learning, the awareness piece. So what happens is we start to connect our state, our nervous system, our body, our feelings and emotions to the new way of thinking. So another crossroads will come up for us. This is where our protector can get really loud. We may, at this point, the protector can be so loud because you're starting to change your identity. You're starting to express boundaries. You're developing and evolving into something that you just didn't even think was possible for yourself. Your fears are coming up. So your protective mechanisms are getting louder and louder at this point. And something happens where it didn't work out, where you thought you were doing really well, and boom, some challenge comes along and just derails your nervous system. And all of a sudden your thinking starts to become quite negative, and it starts to, tell you that as if you could do this, there's no point, therapy doesn't work, these courses don't work, those books are bullshit, nothing is working, everyone's against me, no one cares. That sort of thinking process. That's a split can happen. So the protector comes in and starts saying these things because something happened. Maybe we were rejected, maybe we are burnt out, maybe we thought we were doing something in alignment and we weren't. So here at this crossroads, at every crossroads, what do we need to do? We need to self-reflect, get a reality check of what's truly happening, because our mind will create story after story which is not in reality. It is from our biases, our past experiences. Know what our limitations are, our limiting beliefs and self-fulfilling prophecies are. Get support, an external person to come in and support us to see things from a different perspective. And we've got to really double down on committing to this. So trying, even when things fail or don't work out the way that we want, maybe we get negative feedback, maybe we thought we were doing the right thing and we end up realizing that we were out of alignment. So again, shame will come up. And when that happens, we need to be able to really face it, to continue on embodying these new changes. If we don't face it, we give up. We will go back into the same certainty. So what I mean by that is habits and ways that we were before this, because although it was uncomfortable and maybe we were quite unhappy in it, we know we have certainty in it. We know what to expect. So we go back into that way of being. So that's the crossroads. So then if you do come into self-reflection, what actually happens there is you learn from not being in alignment, because the reality is when we make decisions, the only way we can learn that we're not in alignment is through contrast. And with this contrast, we start to decide, okay, and self-reflect. What part did I play? What part did the other people play? What can I do differently? So that's where you look at your activations. You look at, what sort of maybe distorted thinking might have been happening. Maybe you weren't in complete reality. Maybe there was a denial happening. So maybe there was an avoidance happening. Often when we avoid, it will end up being more of a negative situation than what we could ever imagine. So when we start to self-reflect and we have the ability to move through the shame of, wanting to judge ourselves and wanting to criticize ourselves, we can work with those protective parts that want to do that. And what we can do with that is support ourselves just like we would a friend, our child. We often treat ourselves so much more harshly than what we would treating other people. So we can start to nurture, care for ourselves, and really meet these parts, these protective parts, to be able to embody the change that we want. Now, it's very possible, and the part of you that doesn't believe it's possible is at these crossroads and will try to convince you that it's not possible for you because it's scared. So what does change require? It requires the ability to stay on track in your process. It's not perfection. It's not always making aligned decisions. We learn from making misaligned decisions, and we are able to self-reflect. So being curious, consuming information, and then embodying that information. And that's the only way that we can make the change that we truly want. This is what I teach in my decision-making course, and I've made it a course because you can do one-on-one therapy with me, and I highly recommend people to do that to start with, to work in therapy. And then the course helps you embody the very things that you learn and you've learnt so far in your life. So if you're interested, start with a one-on-one with me. You'll see the links in my bio on Instagram and on Facebook. There will be a link in